how can we feel at home in another country as expats? So this is something that obviously it's so important for all of us. I'm also an expat, and I think actually I was thinking preparing this event for you that I've been um, out out of my city, the place where I born, the place where I grew up, for the majority of my life now, because I've been studying in the north of Italy. So I was always in Italy, so it was different. But it was very different because coming from an island like Sardinia, going to the north of Italy, it was quite different. The language was the same, but it was different. But then I moved from Italy to London, and I spent 8 years in London, and now I'm in Spain. So I definitely know personally what kind of issues we can have. I want just to say that I planned at the beginning to do just a Zoom call, but because we are more than 1,000 people registered, I thought to do, as usual, the first part with the theoretical part, and then we're going to have 1 hour on Zoom. But we're going to have another meeting soon on this topic because I think it's really, really important. So we're gonna have another event soon because I think what we want to really help you to do it's a path, a journey together. We want to do a journey together, so we can really start to feel that we are not alone anymore. And even if we are far from home, I mean, we have people. I'm sure that you will be able to talk in the second part and share your experiences, your aspects of your life, as usually we are doing during our events. And it's not going to be video recorded, so you will be very safe and you could share. But we're going to be people from many different countries. We are using the English because we we hope the majority will speak English, but maybe some of you will not speak perfect English. I wanted to say something regarding the fact that we are now in modern times, but actually humans have always left home, and they have been seeking many different things when they were seeking home and going to other countries. And in the past, it was even more difficult. I mean, everything was requested longer times, and people were going from Europe to America to Australia, and they were going by boats, and they were saying goodbye to their families, and it was they knew that they were not going to see them anymore. Was in many situations was the last time they were seeing them. So that was very, very difficult, and it took a lot of courage for them. And also it was creating very big wounds and pain. So one example, Maria was 17 when she left Calabria to join relatives in New York. At the port, her mother placed a rosary in her hand. In her first months, she wrote, "I hear my mother's voice in the wind, but here no one calls me by my name." Her loneliness was the loneliness of thousands of happening with my video camera sometimes. Sorry for that. Patrick, Patrick was an Irish, lost his parents during the Great Famine. At 14, he sailed to Boston. He worked in a factory, ate little, and kept a dry potato in his pocket. It was his way to remember where he came from. Nostalgia was his only companion. Giuseppe, a young man from Piedmont, left for Buenos Aires. He worked 12 hours a day on the railways. He wrote, "At night, I speak to no one. I have forgotten my mother tongue in the silence." Loneliness was a daily burden. So if we think about them, we recognize a lot of us, a lot of our pain in these people that lived many, many years ago. So migrants share the same pain. Nostalgia that burns, the loneliness of not understanding and not being understood, the sting of being seen as a stranger. Letters arrive months later while hearts were out waiting. So this is actually something that I wanted to write down, because we really need to recognize that even if we are expats, now things are different. Before, the only possibility was to create communities like Little Italy, or Chinatowns, or Italian quarters in Argentina, and the community, people were becoming a community, and they were like families, even if they were strangers, but they were meeting them there, and they were families. As a Sardinian, I felt the same thing when I was going to the north of Italy. When I was meeting a Sardinian person, that was incredible for me. Wow, Sardinian! Immediately we were sharing things. We were, even if it was the same state, this always Italy, but still, we were sharing the fact that we were from the same place, and we had the same kind of knowledge, the same culture of the place, that place. That was great for me, and it was even more like that before. Obviously, before people were crossing oceans. By liners, but now we use planes, low-cost planes, and we can use the computer to chat. We can also do video calls. We can use CloseByYou to do these meetings, and we can use WhatsApp. So many things. It's different now, but still, we can be somewhere else. We can be in any place with our body, but our heart needs to feel at home. And we know that when we go to another country, it's not so easy. There are so many problems, so many things missing. It's not easy at all. So Marta, 29, works in multinational in Berlin. She's brilliant and earns well. Yes, she cries at night in front of family photos. She says, I can be successful, but no one really knows me. This is emotional deprivation. The need for warmth and understanding is not me. So the thing is that we all know what loneliness is, and if we talk about the model, if we talk in terms of schema therapy, we're talking about emotional deprivation. So we go in a place and we feel that there's no one for us, or no one really cares about us. No one really look at us I remember first period in England, when I was looking into the other's eyes, they were immediately changing the direction of the sight, because it was kind of strange to look into each other's eyes, and I had to adjust. Yeah, I was suffering at the beginning. I was looking for something different, something that someone that I could recognize. I know London is full of people coming from many different parts of the world, but still, it was not easy, because when you go to a place, then you tend to adjust, and you start to take the like the habits of the culture of the place. And so at the beginning, maybe you can be different, but then slowly you change. And then now that I moved to Spain, people look into my eyes and they go, and even if they don't know me, they go and try to hug me. Then I feel that I have again to adjust to that, and to get used to that. I mean, it's very easy for me to get used to that, because I was used to give a lot of hugs, but yeah. So John lives in Barcelona. He's valued at work, yet in everyday life he feels invisible. He says, no matter how hard I try, I will never belong here. This is social isolation or alienation. When we are talking about emotional deprivation, social isolation, we're talking about schemas. And soon I'm going to explain to you, if this is the first time that you are really participating at one of my events, I'm going to explain what schemas are. So as you see, John lives in Barcelona. So Barcelona is already a bit different. I mean, obviously we are not all looking for the same things, but as I was saying to you, there are different kind of countries, different cultures, and and here people give you the possibility to talk in general, to talk. You can meet other people, but despite of that, you can still feel lonely. You can still feel so isolated, excluded. You can feel different. You can see the difference between you and the others, and not find a way to really get into the larger group. So Lee, 27, Madrid, she's from China and studies in Madrid. Her Spanish is good, but she tends to avoid going out. She thinks if I speak and make mistakes, they will laugh at me. This is defectiveness and shame schema. So this schema blocks her and reinforces her feelings of loneliness. So her Spanish is so good, but still she is feeling, oh no, this is not my language, this is not my first language. If I go outside and I talk, then the others are going to laugh at me and they judge me, and there's a lot of shame inside. This is something that she doesn't like. Karim, 35, in London, an Egyptian engineer in London, fears that something bad will happen if I get sick. How many of us felt like that? How, so if something happened to me, then I don't have anyone that will help me. If I'm in my country, I can ask to anyone, or in my city, I can ask to anyone, and they will probably help me. But in a foreign country, I don't know. I feel that I don't belong, and if I get sick, what's gonna happen? Who do I have to call? If it gets worse, who's gonna really be there with me and save me? So this is vulnerability to harm. When I'm talking about schemas, it's not only about being in a foreign country. All of us can have schemas, different schemas, and we can have problems, psychological problems, emotional problems, relational problems. But then when you go to a different country, then that situation really triggers those schemas and those problems and make us feel even worse and worse. Elena moved from Rome to Toronto for a PhD. Her first friends and her partner call every day, then less and less. They used to call all the time. Now almost never. Everyone leaves eventually. This is an abandonment. And so I remember when I went to the university, in the first period, no one was calling me. I was alone. I didn't know anyone, and everybody were from around, or at least the majority of people that I was meeting was from around. So yeah, during the weekend they were going to their cities or their regions in Italy, and I was staying there alone all the weekend. So I really had to find the strength to go and, I don't know, eat a pizza by myself or go to a cinema by myself. And I was seeing this long queue of people, these couples going to the cinema on the Saturday evening, and they were looking at me, and I was feeling ashamed. I was feeling, oh wow, what are they thinking about me? They're gonna think that I'm a weirdo. They think that I'm a who goes to cinema alone on Saturday evening. So I was feeling so sad and so down. But I found the strength to go and keep going. Then eventually it happened that I started to feel that I really loved to go to cinema by myself. And then I met other people. I created my groups of people, of friends. So common emotions in expats are anxiety, sadness, isolation, nostalgia. Every expat knows these feelings. All of us. We all know that. We all know what it means to be lonely, what what means to be isolated, or And obviously, there are many ways, different ways each of us finds to manage it, to really work on that, to try to survive, to go through that, and to have a better life. There are many different ways, and we're going to talk about that. Before that, for the people that really came later, I want to remind that at the end we're going to have a Zoom. If you receive the email, you already have the Zoom link for the second part of the event. Otherwise, register to CloseByYou and you will receive immediately an email. It's free, so do it. CloseByYou.com. And you can find the link down in the player of Vimeo, as I said before. So click there and register. You can do it now. So we are going to we were talking about schemas. What are schemas? Where do our schemas originate? Why they originate? Which needs were left unmet so the schemas were created? Which emotional needs were left unmet? How does coping protect us and at the same time trap us? Uh, and what can we do really to change, to really go in a different direction? So as I wrote in the title here, schemas are like lens. So Jeffrey Young, my mentor, my trainer, my supervisor, he created the schema therapy, and he theorized that, as all the studies were saying and still are saying, that all of us as human beings will all have, despite of which country we are from, we all have universal emotional needs. So it doesn't matter which country we are coming from, we all have emotional needs. So we are born with these emotional needs. And what are these emotional needs? The emotional need of feeling safe, being seen and protected, feeling that we belong, being recognized as and respected, becoming autonomous without being alone. And when these needs early in our childhood are not met, one or the other or all of them, in a right way, then we start to develop our brain, creating these neuronal connections. Neurons are the cells of our brain that really made control the functioning of everything in our body, in our cells. So these neurons, connections of neurons, are really shaped by what kind of experiences we do, if these needs are met or not met. And then we create these clusters of neurons, and these clusters of neurons are schemas. They're like softwares in computers. I've been talking so much in the previous events. You can find all of them in the video library. There are so many now. You can go deep into that. And you can assess all these schemas with a questionnaire that is free on CloseByYou. So please do it. It's going to be very interesting for you. And so when these schemas are created, they are like softwares. They really push us to scan the reality in a specific way, depending on what kind of experiences we had when we were very little, and depending on what needs were not met. And so depending on what kind of experiences, these schemas pushes us to analyze, scan the reality in a specific way, amplifying certain perceptions and diminishing certain other perceptions. And then immediately having certain emotions, strong emotions, and thoughts about reality, thoughts about ourselves, thought about others. And obviously, when they are created and we are flooded of very negative emotions, because these schemas are related to negative experiences. So if for example I had a schema of abandonment, because I lived in a family in which love was not always predictable. So some moments were there, and in other moments it was not there. And as a child, I didn't really understood why, and I thought maybe it was because of me. So I developed also a defectiveness schema. But I tend to anticipate that people will abandon me, and the relationship will not really consistently there. So if I have this kind of schema, and I really flooded of all emotions, negative emotions, then it's very difficult for me to really be present and live a good life. So what I try to do is to use certain kind of copings uh, um, that are really ways to survive.